The pregnancy test clattered onto the marble bathroom floor, and Minutjan's world stopped. His bride of 3 hours stood frozen before him, wrapped in white silk, her dark skin glowing against the fabric. Amora's eyes were wide with terror, her hands trembling at her sides. The little plastic stick lay between them like a grenade with the pin pulled. 2 pink lines. Positive. How? Minutjan's voice came out barely above a whisper, but the single word carried the weight of 1,000 accusations. Amora's lips parted, but no sound emerged. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, panic etched across her beautiful features. We haven't, he couldn't finish the sentence. They'd only been married for 3 hours. The wedding had ended at sunset, and now, here in his penthouse suite overlooking Seoul, everything was crumbling. How is this possible? I can explain, she whispered, her accent thick with emotion. Then explain. His tone hardened, the cold CEO persona sliding over him like armor. Explain to me how my virgin bride is pregnant on our wedding night. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Please, Minutjan. Don't. He held up a hand, stepping backward. The distance between them felt like a canyon. Just, don't. But here's what you need to understand. To understand how everything fell apart so spectacularly, you need to know how it all began. And it began 6 months earlier, in the most unlikely place imaginable. Minutjan Park wasn't supposed to fall in love. At 34, he was the youngest CEO of Park Industries, a tech conglomerate worth $47 billion. His life was board meetings and hostile takeovers, 18-hour workdays, and ruthless business decisions. Love was a distraction he couldn't afford. His mother had other plans. You will meet her next week, Park Sun-hee announced over dinner at the family estate. She was a small woman who commanded rooms with her presence alone. The matchmaker has found 3 suitable candidates. Mother, I don't have time. You will make time. Her tone left no room for argument. The Park family needs an heir. You need a wife. This discussion is over. Minutjan had grown up in this world. Arranged marriages were common among Korea's elite families. He'd expected this conversation eventually. What he hadn't expected was Amora. She wasn't one of the 3 candidates his mother had selected. He met her by accident, at a charity gala his company was sponsoring for African healthcare initiatives. She was there with the Kenyan ambassador's delegation, working as a translator. Minutjan noticed her immediately. Not just because she was the only black woman in a room full of Korea's elite, but because she moved through the crowd with quiet dignity, her posture perfect, her smile genuine but guarded. You're staring, his best friend and CFO, Ji-hoon, murmured beside him. I'm observing. You're staring. And your mother is going to kill you. Minutjan ignored him and crossed the room. Excuse me, he said in English. I'm Minutjan Park. She turned, and up close, she was even more striking. Intelligent eyes, full lips, cheekbones that could cut glass. I know who you are, Mr. Park. Everyone here does. And you are. Amora Okonkwo. I'm with the Kenyan delegation. She extended her hand professionally, and when he took it, something electric passed between them. Tell me, Miss Okonkwo, he said, not releasing her hand immediately, do you enjoy these events? A smile tugged at her lips. I enjoy eating, Mr. Park. These events feed me. He laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in months. Honest. I like that. In my experience, honesty is the only currency that matters. Her expression sobered slightly. Though some people can't afford it. There was a story there, pain hidden beneath her composed exterior. Minutjan found himself wanting to know everything about her. They talked for 2 hours. She was 27, had grown up in Nairobi, studied international relations in London, and was working to fund healthcare clinics in rural Kenya. She was brilliant, passionate, and completely unimpressed by his wealth. When the gala ended, he asked for her number. She hesitated. Why? Because I want to see you again. Mr. Park, you're Korea's most eligible bachelor. I'm a translator who lives in a shared apartment in Itaewon. We exist in different worlds. Maybe I'm tired of my world, he said quietly. Something flickered in her eyes, hope, maybe, or fear. Finally, She wrote her number on his business card and disappeared into the night. He called her the next morning. Their first date was coffee at a small cafe in Hongdae, far from the prying eyes of Seoul's elite. She wore jeans and a simple sweater, her hair in natural curls, and she looked more beautiful than any woman he'd ever seen in designer gowns. "Tell me something real," he said after they'd settled into their seats. "Real how?" "Something you don't tell everyone. Something that matters to you." Amora studied him for a long moment. "I have a younger sister back home. Nia. She's 15 and brilliant, wants to be a doctor. But my father died 3 years ago, and my mother is sick. Everything I earn goes to them. So when people ask why I'm here, why I left Kenya, I say it's for the experience." "But really?" She smiled sadly. "I'm here because desperation makes you brave." Minute Jun felt something crack open in his chest. "My father died too. 5 years ago. Heart attack at his desk. Everyone said I was too young to take over the company, that I'd destroy his legacy. I've spent every day since trying to prove them wrong, and I can't remember the last time I did something just because I wanted to." "Why are you here then?" she asked softly. "With me. Because for the first time in years, I want to be somewhere." That was the beginning. They saw each other in secret for 3 months, stolen afternoons, late-night conversations, moments of connection that felt dangerous and necessary. Minute Jun fell in love slowly, then all at once. Amora was different from anyone he'd known. She challenged him, made him laugh, saw through the armor he wore to the man beneath. With her, he wasn't a CEO or an heir or a symbol. He was just Minute Jun. But secrets have a way of surfacing. His mother found out. Minute Jun still didn't know how. A photograph, a report from someone, it didn't matter. Park Sun. He appeared at his office unannounced, her face carved from ice. "You will end this," she said without preamble. "Immediately." "I won't. She is African. She has no family, no connections, nothing to offer the Park family legacy. She offers me happiness," Minute Jun said quietly. "Isn't that worth something? Happiness?" His mother's laugh was bitter. "You sound like a child. You are the Park heir. You don't marry for happiness. You marry for strategy, for legacy, for the family name." "Then I'll give up the company." The silence that followed was deafening. Park Sun. His eyes narrowed. "You would throw away everything your father built for a girl you've known 3 months. I would throw it away for a woman who makes me want to live instead of just survive." Minute Jun stood, facing his mother across the desk. "I love her. I'm going to marry her. You can accept it or not, that's your choice." His mother left without another word. But Minute Jun had underestimated her. 2 days later, Amora's visa was flagged for review. Then her apartment landlord suddenly needed to renovate, giving her 30 days to move out. The charity she worked for received an anonymous complaint about financial irregularities and suspended her pending investigation. Minute Jun recognized his mother's hand in all of it. "She's trying to force you out," he told Amora in her apartment, now half-packed with boxes. "But I won't let her." "Marry me." Amora stared at him. "What? Marry me? Not in 6 months or a year now. If you're my wife, she can't touch you. The visa issues, the job problems, all of it goes away." "Minute Jun, we can't." "Why not?" He took her hands. "I love you. I want to spend my life with you. The timing isn't perfect, but when is it ever? Your mother will never accept me." "She doesn't have to accept you. She just has to accept that I've made my choice." He pulled her close. "Marry me, Amora. Please." She was crying when she said yes. They married quickly, quietly, in a small ceremony with just Ji-hoon as witness. Minute Jun had wanted to wait, to give Amora the wedding she deserved, but his mother was escalating her campaign. The only way to protect Amora was to bind their lives together legally, irrevocably. His mother didn't attend. Neither did the rest of his family. It was just the two of them, Ji-hoon, and an officiant in a courthouse on a Tuesday afternoon. "I promise you a real wedding someday," Minute Jun whispered after they signed the papers. "With your family there, and flowers, and everything you deserve." "I have you," Amora said, kissing him. "That's everything I need." He believed her. God, he wanted to believe her. The media found out within hours. By evening, every news outlet in Korea was running the story. Park Industries CEO marries African translator in secret ceremony. The headlines were brutal, the comments worse. His phone exploded with calls from board members, investors, family. Minute Jun ignored them all. He took Amora to his penthouse, their penthouse now, and tried to make their wedding night special despite everything. Hey, he said, cupping her face. I know this isn't what you imagined. The media circus, my mother's silence, all of it. But I don't regret this. I don't regret you. I don't regret it either, she whispered. But there was something in her eyes, a shadow that hadn't been there before. What is it? Nothing. Just overwhelmed. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. This is a lot. I know. But we'll figure it out together. That's what marriage means, right? She nodded and kissed him, and for a few hours, the world outside ceased to exist. Until she excused herself to the bathroom, and Minute Jun heard her being sick. He knocked softly. Amora? Are you okay? Silence. Then the sound of water running. I'm fine, she called back, but her voice was shaky. Just, nervous stomach. Today was a lot. He waited outside the door, concerned. When she emerged, she was pale, her hands trembling slightly. Maybe you should rest, he suggested. I think I should take a test. A test. Confusion, then understanding dawning like ice water. You think you're... I don't know. Maybe. I've been feeling off for a few days, but I thought it was stress. She looked terrified. Minute Jun, we've been careful. I'm on birth control. This shouldn't be possible. But they both knew birth control wasn't foolproof. Ji-hoon's wife brought over a pregnancy test within the hour. Minute Jun paced the living room while Amora went into the bathroom. The minutes stretched like hours. When the door opened, Amora stood there with the test in her hand, her face ashen. Minute Jun crossed the room and looked at the results. 2 pink lines. The question mark in his mind formed instantly, sharp and cutting. They'd been so careful. She was on birth control. They'd only been together for 3 months before marrying, and they'd used protection every time except that one night 6 weeks ago, drunk on wine and each other, when caution had slipped away in the heat of passion. But the timing felt wrong. Too soon for symptoms. Too soon for a positive test unless she'd been pregnant before. The thought hit him like a bullet, and he hated himself for thinking it. But there it was, ugly and insistent, worming its way through his mind. Minute Jun? Amora's voice was small, frightened. Say something. He looked at her, really looked at her. The woman he'd married hours ago, the woman he'd thought he knew. And felt the foundation of everything shift beneath his feet. How far along? I don't know. I haven't seen a doctor yet. Guess. Minute Jun. Guess, Amora. Her eyes filled with tears. Maybe 6 weeks. I don't know exactly. 6 weeks. They'd been together for exactly 6 weeks when she got her visa flagged. When his mother started targeting her. When everything suddenly became urgent. No. He pushed the thought away. He was being paranoid, letting his mother's poison seep into his mind. We'll see a doctor tomorrow, he said, his voice controlled. Figure out exactly how far along you are. Make sure everything is okay. Okay. She moved toward him, reaching for his hand. Minute Jun, I know this is scary, but I need a moment, he interrupted, pulling away. To process this. It's a lot. Hurt flashed across her face, but she nodded. Of course. He went to his study and closed the door, his mind racing. 6 weeks pregnant. If it was his child, conceived that night when they'd been careless, then everything was fine. Complicated, but fine. But if it wasn't? His phone rang. His mother. I assume you've discovered your little surprise by now, Park's son, he said without preamble. Minute Jun's blood ran cold. What are you talking about? Please. Do you think I don't have people watching? Your wife is pregnant, Minute Jun. And unless you've been sleeping with her longer than 3 months, that child isn't yours. You're lying. Am I? Do the math. Ask her about her past. Ask her about the real reason she came to Korea. His mother's voice dripped with venom. You've been played, my son. She needed a visa, a life, security. You were her ticket. I don't believe you. Then prove me wrong. Get a paternity test. Ask her yourself. She paused. But we both know you won't like the answers. She hung up. Minute Jun sat in the darkness of his study, his mind tearing itself apart. His mother was manipulative, cruel, but she wasn't usually wrong about people. She'd built an empire on reading them, exploiting their weaknesses. But Amora wasn't like that. She couldn't be. Could she? He thought about their meeting at the gala. Had it been chance, or had she orchestrated it? She'd known who he was, had researched him probably. And she'd been so honest about her desperation, her need to support her family. No. He was letting his mother's poison work. Amora loved him. She'd proven it 100 times over. But the doubt was there now, a splinter working its way deeper. When he emerged from the study hours later, Amora was asleep on the couch, still in her wedding dress, tear tracks on her cheeks. He covered her with a blanket and went to the bedroom alone. The next morning, they went to a private clinic. The doctor confirmed it, 6 weeks pregnant, give or take a few days. Healthy pregnancy so far. Congratulations, the doctor said with a warm smile. Minute Jun couldn't return it. In the car afterward, silence stretched between them like broken glass. 6 weeks, Minute Jun said finally. That was when? That night at your place, Amora finished quietly. When we drank too much wine. When we didn't use protection. You're sure? She turned to look at him, and the hurt in her eyes was devastating. What are you really asking me, Minute Jun? I'm asking if that's the only time it could have happened. The slap of his words hung in the air between them. You think I cheated on you? It wasn't a question. You think I trapped you? I don't know what to think. I can't believe this. She laughed bitterly. We've been married less than 24 hours, and you're already accusing me of, she couldn't finish, turning to look out the window. Your mother got to you. This isn't about my mother. It's entirely about your mother. Amora's voice rose. She planted this seed in your mind, and you're letting it grow. You're letting her win. If you have nothing to hide, then there's nothing to worry about. The words came out cold, CEO-like, and he regretted them immediately. Amora went still. When she spoke again, her voice was hollow. You want proof? Fine. Order your paternity test. Investigate my entire life. Strip away every piece of privacy I have left. She looked at him, eyes blazing with tears. But know this, the moment you do, you'll destroy whatever trust we had. And some things, Minute Jun, can't be rebuilt. They didn't speak the rest of the way home. But Minute Jun couldn't let it go. His mother's words haunted him. Over the next week, he found himself watching Amora, looking for signs of deception. He hired a private investigator, hated himself for it, but did it anyway. The report came back 3 days later. Amora's story was true. Everything she'd told him about her family, her background, her reasons for coming to Korea, all true. No hidden boyfriends. No secret past. Just a woman trying to survive and support her family. Minute Jun should have felt relief. Instead, he felt shame. But the pregnancy timing still nagged at him. 6 weeks, the doctor said. Give or take a few days. If it was give or take, then technically, he was destroying his marriage with doubt, and he couldn't stop himself. The tension at home became unbearable. Amora moved through the penthouse like a ghost, speaking to him only when necessary. She slept in the guest room. They existed in the same space but lived in different worlds. His mother called daily, planting more poison. Get the paternity test, she urged. End this uncertainty. I'm not doing that to her. Why? Because you know the truth already? Because you're afraid of what you'll find? Because I love her, and I'm trying to trust her. Love. His mother spat the word. Love makes you blind, Minute Jun. It makes you weak. Your father learned that lesson the hard way. What are you talking about? Silence. Then, ask your uncle about the woman your father almost married before me. Ask him what love cost our family. She hung up before he could respond. Minute Jun did ask his uncle, and learned that his father had once been engaged to a woman his family disapproved of, a woman who'd claimed to be pregnant with his child. The scandal had nearly destroyed the Park family before it was revealed she'd been lying, trying to trap his father into marriage. The pattern was too familiar, too convenient. But Amora wasn't lying. The pregnancy was real. The question was whose child she carried. At the 2-month mark, Minute Jun finally broke. "I need you to take a paternity test," he said one evening over a dinner they were both pretending to eat. Amora set down her fork carefully. No, I won't do it. If you don't trust me by now, a test won't change anything. It'll just confirm what you've already decided about me. That's not fair." "Fair?" She laughed harshly. "Nothing about this has been fair. You married me, promised to protect me, and the first test we face, you side with the woman who's been trying to destroy me since the day we met." "I'm not siding with her." "You are. Every time you look at me with suspicion. Every time you calculate dates and timelines instead of just trusting your wife." Amora stood, and she'd never looked more regal, more powerful. "I have given you no reason to doubt me. But your mother has given you every reason to doubt yourself. And you're too blinded by fear and family loyalty to see the difference. Then prove me wrong. Take the test. And if I do, if it comes back showing you're the father, will that suddenly make everything better? Will you suddenly trust me?" She shook her head. "No. Because the damage is already done. You've already shown me that when it comes down to it, you don't believe in me. In us." She walked to the door, then paused. "I'm going to stay with Ji-hoon and his wife for a while. I need space from this. From you." "Amora, wait." "No. I'm done waiting. Done hoping you'll suddenly remember the man you were 3 months ago, the one who looked at me like I was his whole world." Her voice broke. "I'll take your paternity test, Minute Jun. I'll give you your proof. But understand this, whatever the results say, we're already broken. You broke us the moment you doubted me." She left. The penthouse felt massive and empty without her. Minute Jun told himself he'd done the right thing, the logical thing. But logic felt hollow when he woke up alone, when he came home to silence, when he remembered the way Amora used to smile at him. The paternity test was scheduled for the following week. A simple procedure, blood draw from Amora, cheek swab from Minute Jun, results in 7 to 10 days. But before they could do it, his mother made her move. A press conference. Park's son he called a press conference and announced to all of Korea that her son's wife had trapped him with a pregnancy of questionable paternity. She showed evidence, timelines, dates, suggestions of Amora's desperation. She painted a picture of a gold digger who'd seduced her son and was now trying to secure her future with a convenient pregnancy. The media exploded. Amora's face was everywhere, her past dissected, her character assassinated. Reporters camped outside Ji-hoon's building. Her family in Kenya faced harassment. The charity she'd worked for publicly distanced themselves. Minute Jun was furious. He confronted his mother at the family estate, his control finally shattering. "How could you?" he roared. "How could you do this to her?" "I did it for you, Park's son," he replied calmly. "To wake you up. To show you what she really is. She's my wife. She's a liar who's been manipulating you from the beginning." His mother stood. "The truth will come out in the paternity test. And when it does, you'll thank me for saving you from a lifetime of deception. Get out. This is my house, Minute Jun. Then I'll leave. And I'll take Amora with me, and you'll never see us or your grandchild, if it is your grandchild, ever again." He meant it. His mother saw it in his eyes. "You would choose her over your family. Over everything we've built. I would choose her over anyone. I should have done it from the beginning." Minute Jun headed for the door. "You've destroyed a lot of things, Mother. But you won't destroy this." He found Amora at Ji-hoon's apartment, watching the news coverage of his mother's press conference with tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry," he said, falling to his knees before her. "I'm so sorry. For everything. For doubting you. For not protecting you. For being weak." She looked at him, and her eyes were broken. Why didn't you trust me? Because I was scared. Because my father's story, my family's history, it all made me paranoid. But that's not an excuse. You deserved better from me. You deserved someone who believed in you unconditionally, and I failed you. The whole world thinks I'm a liar now, she whispered. That I trapped you. That I'm some kind of. We'll fix it. I'll hold my own press conference. I'll tell everyone the truth, that I love you, that this baby is mine, that my mother has been conducting a campaign of harassment against you. You don't know if the baby is yours, Amora said quietly. Minute-jun froze. What? She stood, moving to the window. For a long moment, she just stared out at the city. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible. There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you months ago, but I was scared. Scared you'd look at me differently. Scared you'd leave. Every muscle in Minute-jun's body tensed. Tell me. Amora turned, and her face was wet with tears. Before I came to Korea, something happened in Kenya. Something I've never told anyone. The room felt like it was closing in. I was engaged, she continued. To a man named David. We'd been together since university. He was everything I thought I wanted. Successful, charming, from a good family. Minute-jun's heart hammered against his ribs. But he changed after we got engaged. Became controlling. Jealous. He didn't want me working, didn't want me having friends. He wanted me to be. She shook her head. It doesn't matter what he wanted. What matters is that one night, we had a huge fight. About my job, about my family. He'd been drinking, and she couldn't finish. Didn't need to. Amora. Minute-jun breathed, horror and understanding washing over him. I left him that night. Went to stay with my mother. But a few weeks later, I realized I might be pregnant. I took a test, it was negative. But by then, I knew I needed to get out of Kenya, get away from him and the life I'd been living. So when the translator job in Korea came up, I took it. I ran. She met his eyes. I never thought about it again. The test was negative. I moved on. Started over. Met you. Fell in love for real. Then this baby. Minute-jun said slowly. Is yours, Amora said firmly. It has to be. The test was negative. That was 7 months ago, Minute-jun. If I'd been pregnant then, I'd be. She pressed her hands to her still flat stomach. I'd be showing by now. This baby is 6 weeks old. The timing makes sense. But you're not sure. The words hung between them like a blade. How can I be sure? Amora's voice broke. I was so traumatized, so focused on escaping, that what if the test was wrong? What if there's a chance? She covered her face with her hands. I've been lying awake at night, terrified that maybe, somehow. Minute-jun crossed the room and pulled her into his arms. She collapsed against him, sobbing. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, his own voice rough with emotion. Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't want you to see me as damaged or broken. Because every time I thought about telling you, I remembered the way you looked at me that first night at the gala like I was something precious and I couldn't bear for that to change. It wouldn't have changed anything. Wouldn't it? Be honest, Minute-jun. If I'd told you on our 3rd date that I had a violent ex, that there was trauma in my past, would you have fallen in love with me the same way? He wanted to say yes. But he couldn't lie to her. Not anymore. I don't know, he admitted. Maybe I would have been more careful, more protective. But I would have fallen in love with you anyway. How could I not? They held each other while the city lights glittered outside, 2 broken people trying to hold together something that felt like it was dissolving. We need to do the paternity test, Minute-jun said finally. Not because I don't believe you. But because we both need to know. For certain. No more doubts, no more fear, just truth. Amora nodded against his chest. And if it's not yours? Then we'll deal with it. Together. The way we should have been dealing with everything from the beginning. The paternity test was scheduled for the next morning. A private facility, maximum confidentiality, results in 5 days. Those 5 days were the longest of Minute-jun's life. He moved Amora back into the penthouse, hired security to keep the press away, and held another press conference to refute his mother's claims without telling her about David, about the possibility that hung over them like a sword. "My wife is pregnant with my child," he stated clearly, firmly. "Any suggestion otherwise is categorically false. My mother's statements were made without my knowledge or consent, and I deeply regret the pain they've caused." The media had a field day with the family drama, but public opinion began to shift. People started questioning Park Sun-hee's motives, her cruelty. At home, Minute Jun and Amora existed in a strange limbo. They were closer than they'd been in weeks. Her revelation had broken something open between them, but the uncertainty was a third presence in every room. "What do you want?" Amora asked one night as they lay in bed, not touching but close. "The truth." "What do you want the test to say?" Minute Jun was quiet for a long time. "I want it to be mine. God, I want it to be mine. But not just because it makes everything easier. Because I want a child with you. I want a family with you. I want to build something that's ours, untouched by all the ugliness that's come before. And if it's not?" He rolled to face her, taking her hand. "Then I want you anyway. And we'll figure out the rest." "You say that now. I mean it. Whatever that test says, I'm not losing you again. I almost lost you by doubting you, by letting my mother's poison seep in. I won't make that mistake twice." She squeezed his hand, and for the first time in weeks, she smiled. A real smile. On the 5th day, they went together to get the results. The doctor was a kind woman in her 50s who'd handled the entire case with discretion. She invited them into her office and closed the door. "Before I give you these results," she said carefully, "I want you both to know that whatever they say, it doesn't define your family. Love defines family. Commitment defines family. What you choose to do next, that defines family." Minute Jun and Amora held hands, both terrified. Having said that, the doctor opened the envelope and pulled out the report. She looked at it for what felt like an eternity. Then she looked up, her expression unreadable. "Mr. Park, the test shows." The door burst open. Park Sun-hee stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 security guards and a man in an expensive suit. "Don't answer that," his mother commanded. She turned to Minute Jun. "Before you hear those results, there's something you need to know. Something that changes everything. Mother, get out. Her ex-fiancé is here. In Seoul. And he's claiming paternity." The room tilted. The man in the expensive suit stepped forward. He was tall, handsome in a polished way, and when he looked at Amora, his expression was possessive and cruel. "Hello, Amora," David said in a smooth accent. "Long time no see." Amora had gone completely white. She stood, swaying slightly, and Minute Jun caught her arm. "What are you doing here?" she breathed. "Your mother-in-law reached out to me. Said you were pregnant, and there might be some confusion about paternity." David smiled, and it was all teeth. "I did the math, baby. That child could be mine." "You're insane," Amora spat. "I left you 7 months ago. I took a test, it was negative. False negatives happen. Especially early on." He looked at Minute Jun. "Your wife and I were together for 3 years. Engaged for 6 months. We had an active relationship. Right up until the day she ran away. I didn't run away. I escaped you. That's not how I remember it." David's expression darkened. "You left without a word. Disappeared. And now I find out you're married to a billionaire and pregnant. Convenient timing, wouldn't you say?" Minute Jun's fist connected with David's jaw before he'd even realized he'd moved. The man stumbled backward, blood on his lip, shock in his eyes. "Get out," Minute Jun growled. "Get out before I have you arrested." "For what?" "Defending my parental rights." David straightened, wiping blood from his mouth. "If that baby is mine, I have a legal claim. Korean courts respect paternity, Mr. Park. Even when it's inconvenient for billionaires." "The baby isn't yours," Amora said, but her voice shook. "Are you sure about that?" "Because I'm not. And your husband doesn't seem sure either." David looked between them. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to include me in that paternity test. And if it comes back as mine, I want custody. Over my dead body, Minute-jun said. That can be arranged, David replied coldly. Park Sun, he stepped forward, her smile triumphant. You see, Minute-jun? This is what happens when you marry beneath yourself. Complications. Drama. Questions about legitimacy. You brought him here, Amora whispered, staring at his mother with horror. You found him. You paid him to come. I did what was necessary to protect my son and my family's reputation. Park Sun-hee's voice was ice. If this man is the father of your child, then your marriage to Minute-jun is built on a lie. And lies, my dear, always come to light. The doctor stood, her face flushed with anger. This is highly irregular. I cannot disclose medical information with unauthorized individuals present. Then add me to the test, David interrupted. I'm formally requesting paternity testing. I have that right. You have no rights here, Minute-jun snarled. Actually, the lawyer who'd come with David and Park Sun-hee spoke up. Under Korean law, any man who can demonstrate a reasonable claim of paternity has the right to request testing. Mr. Omondi has provided evidence of his relationship with Mrs. Park, including photographs, messages, and witness statements confirming they were engaged and living together up until 7 months ago. Minute-jun's blood turned to ice. You've been planning this. His mother didn't even try to deny it. I've been preparing for every possibility. That's what leaders do. Amora made a sound, something between a laugh and a sob. You're a monster. I'm a mother protecting her son. You're destroying him. Amora's voice rang out, raw and powerful. You're destroying the man you claim to love because you can't stand that he chose someone you didn't approve of. This isn't about me being African or poor or beneath him. This is about control. About you losing your grip on your son, and you'd rather burn his entire life down than let him be happy without your permission. The silence that followed was deafening. Park Sun-hee's expression flickered, just for a moment, something almost like pain crossing her features. Then the ice returned. Happiness is a luxury, she said quietly. Legacy is forever. Your son will understand that someday, when he's not blinded by infatuation. He's not your son, Minute-jun said, and everyone turned to stare at him. Not anymore. You lost that right the moment you chose cruelty over love. The moment you brought this man, this abuser, into our lives to terrorize my wife. Abuser? David laughed. Is that what she told you? That I abused her? You did, Amora said, her voice steady now despite the tears on her cheeks. You controlled me. Isolated me. And that night, when I said I was leaving, I what? David stepped closer, his expression dangerous. Say it, Amora. Tell him what really happened. Tell him how you led me on for years, took my money, my connections, my family's support, and then ran the moment something better came along. That's not what happened. Wasn't it? You were so desperate to get out of Kenya. And then, miracle of miracles, you land a job in Korea and meet a billionaire within months. You're good, I'll give you that. Better than I thought. Minute-jun moved between them, his body a wall. Touch her, speak to her, even look at her again, and I will destroy you. I don't care what laws protect you. I don't care what rights you think you have. You will leave this building now, or I will have you removed by force. Not until I get my paternity test. Fine. The word came from Amora. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood tall, shoulders back, every inch a queen despite her tear-stained face. Test us all. Run your DNA. Get your answers. But know this, whatever those results say, this baby will never be yours, David. Never. Because you don't deserve to be anyone's father. She turned to the doctor. Do it. Test all 3 of us. Let's end this nightmare once and for all. The doctor looked between the faces in the room, Minute-jun's fury, Amora's defiance, David's smugness, Park Sun-hee's cold calculation. This is highly unorthodox, she said finally. But if all parties consent, I can run a 3-way paternity test. Results will take 10 days given the additional complexity. 10 days. Minute-jun started. The laboratory needs time to run multiple comparisons. I can't rush this, accuracy is paramount. 10 more days of uncertainty. 10 more days of this hanging over them. But what choice did they have? Do it, Minute-Jun said. The testing took 30 minutes. Blood draws, cheek swabs, consent forms. David smirked through the entire process. Park's son he watched with cold satisfaction. Amora sat silent, her hand in Minute-Jun's, squeezing so hard his fingers went numb. When it was done, David straightened his jacket and smiled at Amora. See you in 10 days, baby. Hopefully under better circumstances, as the father of your child. Get out, Minute-Jun said, his voice deadly quiet. David left, still smiling. Park's son he followed, pausing only to look at her son. I hope you're prepared for the truth, she said. I'm prepared to never speak to you again. Something flickered in her eyes, regret, maybe, or pain, but she left without another word. In the silence that followed, Minute-Jun and Amora sat in the doctor's office, holding each other. I'm sorry, Amora whispered. I'm so sorry I brought this into your life. You didn't bring this. My mother did. And David. He pulled back to look at her. Whatever happens in 10 days, we're facing it together. Do you understand? Together. She nodded, but her eyes were haunted. What if it's his? Then we'll deal with it. Legally, we can fight for sole custody based on his history of abuse. We can. That's not what I mean. She touched his face. What if it's his, and you can't look at me the same way? What if every time you see this baby, you see him? See what he did to me. See that I was with him before you? Then I'll work through it. We'll work through it. Because I love you, Amora. Not the idea of you, not the perfect version you. Complicated, traumatized, scared, brave, beautiful you. She kissed him then, desperate and needy, and he held her like she might disappear. The 10 days that followed were hell. The media had gotten wind of the paternity dispute. Minute-Jun suspected his mother had leaked it, and the story exploded across every platform. Amora couldn't leave the penthouse without being mobbed by reporters. The speculation was vicious, the comments worse. Gold digger. Liar. She trapped him. The baby is probably neither of theirs. Minute-Jun tried to shield her from it, but Amora read everything. He'd find her at 3 in the morning, scrolling through articles on her phone, tears streaming down her face. They hate me, she said one night. The whole country hates me. They don't know you. They know enough. African woman marries Korean billionaire, gets pregnant, paternity in question. I'm every stereotype and cautionary tale rolled into one. You're my wife. That's all that matters. But even he couldn't ignore the toll it was taking. Amora stopped eating. Stopped sleeping. The stress was affecting the pregnancy. The doctor warned them that if things didn't improve, they might lose the baby. On day 7, Ji-hoon came to the penthouse with news. David's been talking to reporters, he said, his expression grim. Selling his story. He's claiming you seduced him in Korea, that you've been seeing him behind Minute-Jun's back, that the whole marriage was a setup. That's insane, Amora breathed. It's calculated. He's building a case for custody. If the baby is his, he wants to paint you as an unfit mother. Ji-hoon looked at Minute-Jun. We need to fight back. Let me dig into his past, find something we can use. Do it, Minute-Jun said immediately. Ji-hoon's investigation uncovered a pattern. David had a history, 3 other women who'd filed complaints against him for harassment, stalking, and in one case, assault. The charges had never stuck because David's family was wealthy and connected, but the pattern was clear. He's dangerous, Ji-hoon said, spreading police reports across the dining table. These women were all terrified of him. 2 of them left the country to get away. Minute-Jun looked at Amora. Did you know about this? I suspected. There were rumors, but no one wanted to talk about it. His family had too much power. She stared at the reports, her face pale. Oh God. I dated a monster. You escaped a monster, Minute-Jun corrected. You survived him. And now we're going to make sure he never hurts anyone again. They compiled everything, the police reports, witness statements, character references from the other women. Minute-Jun's legal team prepared a case that would destroy David's credibility and any claim he might have to custody. But they still had to wait for the test results. On day 10, they returned to the doctor's office. This time, it was just the two of them. No David. No Park Sun-hee. Just Minute-Jun and Amora, holding hands in the waiting room, terrified. The doctor called them in. She looked tired, and there was something in her expression that made Minute-Jun's stomach drop. "I have your results," she said, sitting behind her desk. "But before I share them, I need to explain something about the testing process." "Just tell us," Amora whispered. "Please. We can't take any more waiting." The doctor nodded. She opened the envelope and pulled out 3 sheets of paper. "We tested 3 potential fathers against the fetal DNA," she began. "Mr. Park Minute-Jun, Mr. David Omondi. And as a control, we also ran a 3rd test." "A 3rd test?" Minute-Jun frowned. "Why?" "Because something unusual appeared in the initial results. A genetic marker that suggested the possibility of a 3rd party." The room spun. "What are you saying?" Amora's voice was barely audible. "I'm saying that genetic testing is complex, and sometimes results reveal unexpected information." The doctor looked at them both with compassion. "The baby's DNA shows no paternal match to Mr. Omondi. He is definitively not the father." Relief flooded through Minute-Jun like a wave. "So it's mine." "That's where it gets complicated." The doctor hesitated. "The baby shows a 24.7% genetic match to you, Mr. Park. Which is consistent with an uncle-nephew relationship. Or in this case, an avuncular relationship." Silence. "I don't understand," Minute-Jun said slowly. "The biological father of this child shares approximately 50% of your DNA. Which means..." The doctor paused. "The father is your brother. Or half-brother. Someone who shares one of your parents." The world stopped. Minute-Jun didn't have a brother. He was an only child. His father had died 5 years ago, faithful to his mother until the end. There was no "My father," he breathed. "You're saying my father." "I'm saying the child's biological father is someone who shares significant genetic material with you through the paternal line." The doctor looked at Amora. "Mrs. Park, is there any possibility you had contact with Mr. Park's family before you met him?" Amora shook her head, looking as shocked as Minute-Jun felt. "No. I never met any of his family until after we started dating. I never even knew who he was before the gala." "Then this doesn't make sense," Minute-Jun said. But even as he spoke, pieces were clicking into place. Horrible, impossible pieces. His mother's knowledge of the pregnancy before he'd told her. Her certainty that the child wasn't his. Her determination to destroy Amora. Her comment about his father's past, about a woman he'd almost married. "Unless," he said slowly, "the father isn't from my immediate family." The doctor nodded. "Extended family is also possible. A cousin, perhaps. Someone with shared paternal ancestry." Minute-Jun pulled out his phone with shaking hands and called his uncle, his father's younger brother. "I need you to tell me the truth," he said when his uncle answered. "Did father have any other children? Any we don't know about?" The silence on the other end spoke volumes. "Uncle. Did he?" "This isn't a conversation for the phone. Did he have another son?" A long pause. "Then, your father made mistakes before he married your mother. There was a woman. She got pregnant. He paid her to go away, to raise the child elsewhere. Your mother never knew. As far as I'm aware, the child grew up in Africa." The phone slipped from Minute-Jun's hand. "Africa?" "No," he whispered. "No, that's impossible." But Amora's face had gone white as paper. "David," she breathed. "Oh my God. David. What about him?" "His mother. She never talked about his father. Said he was Korean, that he'd left before David was born. But she had money, always had money, more than she should have for a single mother. David went to the best schools, had every opportunity." Her voice was rising, hysteric. It was like someone was supporting them from afar. The pieces fell into place with devastating clarity. David Omondi was Minute-Jun's half-brother. which meant the baby Amora carried was Minute-jun's nephew. His brother's child. Conceived before she ever met Minute-jun, before she ever came to Korea. The negative test, Minute-jun said numbly. You said the test was negative. It was. I took it at 5 weeks. But sometimes. Amora's hands shook. Sometimes it's too early. Sometimes you get false negatives if the hormones haven't built up enough yet. And I was so stressed, so focused on leaving, that I didn't think to test again. She'd been pregnant when they met. Had been carrying David's child, Minute-jun's nephew, through their entire relationship. Through their courtship, their secret meetings, their wedding. And neither of them had known. I didn't know, Amora was saying, over and over. I swear to God, Minute-jun, I didn't know. If I'd known, I never would have. I would have told you. But Minute-jun couldn't hear her. His mind was reeling, trying to process the impossible truth. His wife was pregnant with his brother's child. His abusive half-brother who'd hurt her, controlled her, terrorized her. The baby wasn't a product of love or even carelessness, it was a product of trauma. A living reminder of everything Amora had escaped. And Minute-jun had spent weeks doubting her, suspecting her, letting his mother's poison seep into their marriage. All while she'd been innocent. While she'd been telling him the truth. I need air, he said, standing abruptly. Minute-jun, please. I just need a minute. He was walking to the door, then through it, down the hallway, out into the bright Seoul afternoon. He walked for hours, his mind a chaos of emotion. Betrayal not by Amora, but by his father, by his family, by the universe itself. Anger at the cosmic joke of it all. Horror at what this meant. Grief for the family he thought he'd known, the father he'd idealized. And underneath it all, a terrible, creeping doubt. Could he raise this child? Could he look at his brother's son or daughter every day and not see David? Not see the violence, the control, the abuse? Could he be a father to a child who was biologically his nephew, conceived in circumstances that made his soul ache? When he returned to the penthouse after dark, after ignoring 17 calls from Ji-hoon and 32 from Amora, he found his wife sitting in the living room in the dark. You came back, she said quietly. Of course I came back. This is my home. I wasn't sure. After everything. She looked up at him, and her eyes were devastated. I understand if you want to leave. If this is too much. If I'm too much. Minute-jun sat beside her, exhaustion in every line of his body. Tell me what you want. Not what you think I want to hear. What do you want? I want to keep the baby, Amora said immediately. I know that's complicated. I know it's David's child, and your nephew, and that genetics make this impossible. But it's also mine. My child. And I want them. Even knowing who the father is. The father is a man who hurt me. But this baby didn't hurt me. This baby is innocent. Her hand moved to her stomach, still flat. I won't let David's cruelty poison my child before they're even born. And David? He'll claim paternity. He'll demand rights. Then we'll fight him. With everything we have. Those police reports, those women's testimonies will prove he's unfit. We'll get sole custody. He's my brother, Amora. My half-brother. That makes this a family custody battle. He's an abuser. That makes this a safety issue. She turned to him, fierce. I won't let him near this child. I don't care what courts say, what laws exist. He will not touch my baby. Our baby, Minute-jun almost corrected. But it wasn't their baby. It was hers. And David's. And Minute-jun's nephew. The complications were endless. I don't know if I can do this, he admitted. Look at a child who's got David's DNA, who might have his eyes or his smile. Who's a reminder of everything he did to you. I know. I wouldn't blame you if you couldn't. Amora's voice broke. But I'm asking you to try. Because I love you. Because this baby needs a father, a real father, not a biological accident. Because you're the best man I know, and if anyone can choose love over genetics, it's you. Minute-jun closed his eyes. He thought about his own father, the man he'd idolized, who'd apparently had a whole other child he'd abandoned. He thought about David, his half-brother, twisted by whatever circumstances had shaped him. He thought about legacy and genetics and the weight of family. And then he thought about Amora. About the woman who'd survived abuse and still chose to love. Who'd been dragged through hell by his mother's cruelty and was still sitting here, asking him to stay. "I need time," he said finally. "To process this. To figure out what I can live with." "How much time?" "I don't know. Days. Weeks. However long it takes." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I'll wait. As long as you need." He stood to leave, then paused. "Where will you go?" "I'll stay at Jihoon's again." "Give you space." "No." The word came out firmer than he'd intended. "This is your home too." "I'll go." "You stay here, where you're safe." "Minute Jun. Please. Let me do this one thing right." He packed a bag and left that night, checking into a hotel across the city. For 3 days, he holed up in the room, thinking. Wrestling with questions that had no easy answers. Could he love a child who wasn't his? Could he be a father to his brother's son? Could he look past genetics and see a person, an innocent life that deserved love regardless of how they were conceived? Jihoon visited on day 2. "You know you're an idiot, right? Thanks for the support." "I'm serious. That woman loves you. She's been through hell, your mother's harassment, an abusive ex, a pregnancy she didn't even know about, and she's still choosing you. Still asking you to stay. And you're hiding in a hotel feeling sorry for yourself. It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. You love her. She loves you. There's a baby coming who needs parents. Everything else is just noise. He's my brother, Jihoon. So what? He's also an abuser who terrorized the woman you love. Blood doesn't make someone family, actions do. Choices do." Jihoon sat beside him on the bed. "You told me once that Amora made you want to live instead of just survive. When are you going to start living?" After Jihoon left, Minute Jun called his uncle again. "Tell me about David," he said. "Everything you know." His uncle told him. About Minute Jun's father's affair with a Kenyan woman during a business trip. About the pregnancy. About the money sent monthly to support the child, always anonymous, always through intermediaries. About how Minute Jun's father had never met his other son, had never acknowledged him, had buried the secret so deep that it died with him. "David doesn't know?" Minute Jun asked. "As far as I know, no. His mother never told him. She took the money and raised him, but she never revealed who his father was. So David had grown up not knowing. Had built his life on a lie, on abandonment, on money without explanation. And maybe that had twisted him. Maybe that absence had created the monster he'd become. Minute Jun didn't forgive him. Couldn't forgive him. But he understood a little better. On the 4th day, his mother called. "I heard about the test results, Park's son," he said. "About who the father really is." "Did you know?" Minute Jun demanded. "About David being father's son?" Silence. "Then, I suspected. Your uncle let something slip years ago, about a woman in Kenya. And when Amora appeared, with a Kenyan ex-fiancé named David Omondi, she sighed. I had it investigated. Confirmed. That's why I brought him here. You knew this whole time that Amora was innocent. That the baby was conceived before she ever met me. And you still dragged her through hell. I was protecting you. You were destroying me." Minute Jun shouted. "You cost me weeks with my wife. You made her question herself, made me doubt her, brought her abuser back into her life, all because you couldn't stand that I'd chosen someone without your approval. Well, congratulations, Mother. You've succeeded. Because I'm done. With you, with this family, with everything. Minute Jun. I'm going to raise that baby. I'm going to love Amora and build a life with her. And you're going to be exactly what you feared most, cut off. Alone. Without your son or your grandchild. Because you chose cruelty over love, and actions have consequences." He hung up before she could respond. Then he went home. Amora was in the kitchen when he walked in, trying to make tea with shaking hands. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "I'm back," he said simply. She turned, and hope and fear warred in her expression. For how long? Forever. If you'll have me. The teacup clattered into the sink. What? I've been thinking. About family and genetics and what makes someone a father. Minute Jun crossed the room, taking her hands. And I realized none of that matters. David may be this baby's biological father, but I'm going to be their dad. I'm going to be there for every feeding and every diaper change and every first word. I'm going to teach them to ride a bike and help with homework and scare away bad dates when they're older. Minute Jun. I'm going to love this child like they're mine. Because in every way that matters, they are mine. Not because of genetics, but because of choice. Because I choose you, Amora. Every day, for the rest of my life, I choose you. She was crying, and then he was crying, and they held each other in the middle of the kitchen while the city glittered outside. We'll fight David in court, Minute Jun said. We'll use everything, the police reports, the testimonies, his history. We'll prove he's unfit. And we'll win, because we have something he'll never have. What's that? Love. Real love. The kind that chooses to stay even when it's hard. They kissed, and it felt like a beginning. Like maybe, despite everything, they were going to be okay. But that night, as they lay in bed together for the first time in days, Amora's phone buzzed. A message. From an unknown number. She opened it, and the blood drained from her face. What is it? Minute Jun asked. She turned the screen so he could see. The message was simple. I know about the baby. I know everything. And I'm coming for what's mine. Below it, a photo. David, standing outside their building. Watching. Waiting. And beside him, smiling coldly at the camera, was Park Sun-hee. Oh God, Amora whispered. They're working together. Minute Jun stared at the photo, his mind racing. His mother and his half-brother, united. Two people who hated him and Amora, now allied with a common goal. To take their child. And suddenly, Minute Jun realized this wasn't the end of their nightmare. It was only the beginning. Drop a like and comment with your theories below and hit subscribe because this family's story is far from over.